What was that?
It's perfect. You want to be that guy?
What up, everybody? Good morning,
everyone. Monday.
Welcome to DCTV. My name is Brad. That's Jaime. We got Coach Tamp in the house. We got Don from the Don Front Show, as well as at the Real Data Lord. Brandon is in the house with us this morning as well.
What's up?
We hope that you guys had a great weekend. I'm looking at futures right now, and it is all red across the board. We got S&P that's down 22 points. The Dow is down 173, which is good for 0.5%. The NASDAQ, it's just everyday red. It's down 85 points. Oil has actually made a decent turn down as well, too. It's sitting at 86.53 per barrel of WTI crude. And then we're also looking at Bitcoin flirting around with 20,000. It's at $20,705 per Bitcoin, only down around 35 points. So no big deal there. But those are your futures for right now.
Yeah, it just has to make a decision. We're at the end of the month. The monthly candle should close.
Yep.
Weekly just closed. So everything, and there's some important news coming up this week, isn't it?
That's right.
Send it. Where do you think it's going, Don?
Actually, I think this week for markets in general is probably more a deciding factor on if the bear market rally is over or kind of just getting warmed up. We do got rate hike decision this week. So I'm hoping today's red kind of just removing some risk off the table, and then we get the announcement that everybody piles in, either calls or puts eventually. We'll know on Wednesday.
So do you think that those tweets and all that conversation that's been going on, Don, where they say, Fed's got to moderate this a little? I think we're seeing the results we're expecting. Let's slow things down. Or do you think they're going to continue hiking up as usual and then announce that they're going to slow down the road? How do you feel about where this is headed? Usually from Halloween till end of December is usually an uptime traditionally in these times of market times, no?
Yeah, they are, especially midterm rallies. That's I don't really care for seasonality stuff like that because every year is different. But I will say there is a very, I don't want to say coincidental. If you just look at midterm years, they are very much green, so it is kind of hard to ignore that. But I would say if they raise it 50 basis points. Or even 75, but they're going to announce that we're chilling out. Any kind of announcement like that or a sign of it, I would say weak. It would be a weaker dollar, so the dollar would go down. Markets would probably rally, which would hopefully help crypto. But there's a pretty big argument that Bitcoin's not really going anywhere until regulation this time. I'm starting to see that, which I didn't know Kevin O'Leary was such a crypto nerd.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
As
big
a matter
into
of
that.
fact, all his investments are outside the U.S. It's
Canada.
either through Canada or Dubai. That's where his big plays are.
He brought up some good points because I didn't know he was even into it. I was kind of just watching him all day yesterday, And he said, "There's no way." He said, "What I say all the time says, just follow the money." He says, "There's no way innovation just doesn't come out of it when you see how much money is going into." I forget which one he was talking about. I think he was just talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum in general at this point. But he said some will go to zero, but some are really going to make it.
Yeah, and
He was all about it.
he's spread across a few of the altcoins also. So when he speaks to Dubai, all they're interested in is Bitcoin. But Canada and other locations, they're looking at the blockchain industry overall. And he says he has about 28 to 32, let's call them bets across the platform. So I almost feel I agree with you, Don, in terms of I think we're going to see some laggard Bitcoin for a little bit. And then the growth is going to be on the altcoins.
Yeah.
More.
Well, they stand to grow a lot more. I'll put it that way, especially percentage wise. Yeah, those are definitely, I don't want to say throwing darts. They're definitely
research. A lot of research is involved. Do your own research.
Yeah.
Fundamentals. Who's building it? Who's using it? What are they solving? Real world problems, I think, are the key factors to choosing.
There's got to be a better example than the .com bubble. Because so many are copy and pasted. So many are probably just worthless. They're just trying, but some are, the real ones are hiding in the crowd, and it's.
I think it's as close as we can get it to that, though, right? I mean, if you look at the .com bubble, there were plenty of publicly traded companies where all they had was just a website and no employees, no nothing, right? And I think that there's a lot of cryptocurrencies, a lot of projects out there that are pretty similar or were similar, right? I mean, AskCoin, right? Like that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff. I think that you can actually correlate to the .com bubble, and then the cream rose to the top, right? It was Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Google. So like I think that there is a way that we can actually accurately compare it to a .com type of bubble, but it is different. And I don't think that there's any recession that's exactly the same as the one before it. But I think if we were to compare it to one, I think that would actually be the one that makes the most sense, at least to me.
In crypto, we already had something that was as close as you can possibly get to the .com bubble, where there was literally just a website, nothing to show. That was the whole ICO phase that we had, which that was more like the 2017 time period. But at this point, at very least, people have to know how to fork a GitHub, and have to do some show of code. Otherwise, they're not even going to be seen as legitimate whatsoever. Now, that being said, it's not that difficult to fork a GitHub. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Brandon, because I think where regulation is going to help the most, talking about what Don said, is that some of these new coins coming out are going to have to go through some sort of regulation to release, which is going to alleviate a lot of the BS projects that don't have a team or that don't have a legitimate use case. They're not going to be able to fall in line with regulation. And teams that are together working with whoever the regulatory body is assigned, the teams working with them, the ability to release a legitimate coin is going to help get rid of a lot of just kind of the meme coins and the coins that are just copy paste code.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, ICO stands for Initial Coin Offering. When Ethereum first dropped their ERC20 token, people were just basically throwing any name on any token and being like, yeah, grab our token, and once our real thing's live, then you can slip over to that. And there were some that really were faithful with that. For example, Binance had people buy ERC20 tokens, and then they did drop their real blockchain with Binance Smart Chain, and people were actually able to send their ERC20 tokens and get truly Binance's blockchain token. So it's not all bullshit, but that being said, like it can be, if they don't fulfill their promise. It's like rug pulling.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, that's one of the conditions now. CZ, the head of Binance, announced, he says anyone who's working on a project that says we will be listed on Binance, he will automatically ignore it. He'll just shut it down, like no chance, because you should be building for real world problems, not on the expectation to cash out because they're being listed. So you can see a huge shift from the ICO era to today.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Now,
so you actually have to bring some true tech skills to the, to the table if you're going to be successful, because you got dudes like me, for example, and Jaime actually sniffing around on your GitHubs and looking in your Discords and your communities and trying to figure out like if you guys are all talk or if you're really building, right? Because building is where the value comes from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of building, we had a revolution. We have Halloween, of course, today.
Yes.
But it is a more significant result of someone who did their own homework and started building. Today is the 14th anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper. For any of you who's interested in reading it, because this is what triggered this entire industry. The reason we're all here together today is because of that event that occurred 14 years ago today. And it's where Satoshi Nakamoto wrote out the Bitcoin white paper. Anyone who wants to read it, it's in multiple languages. If you go to bitcoin.org, .com is a scam, .org is the real thing.
And we'll elaborate that on that
Beautiful.
later in the show as well.
Excellent.
But yes, that is one of the things to come today. We also have a lot of other things happening. So we're going to be getting into that right now, actually, with the start of our WTF news of the day. Had anybody thought about putting an alligator in your bag before you get on a plane?
It would be funny.
I would feed him the first, though.
Well, it actually happens. So I don't know how I continue to find these news articles. They just kind of come to me. But a man allegedly carried not allegedly, he did, carried a live albino alligator in a suitcase at a German airport. The man was 42, who was 42, reportedly tried to transport the alligator from Germany to Singapore. It all makes sense now. I mean, just taking anything to Singapore, it can never be anything normal going to Singapore. But it was a 3 foot. It wasn't even like it was a tiny alligator. It was 3 feet long.
That's
was detected. Yeah, okay, but I mean to put on a plane. Was detected at the Munich airport late September with one of the airport's security checkpoint X-ray machines, according to a report by I don't even know how to say this, Süddeutsche Zeitung, at a German newspaper. Anybody who's German or knows how to speak German, somebody correct me on that. But I'm going to show you guys the X-ray. The X-ray photo is actually quite hilarious. Let's take a look at this real quick. Maybe. Is it this guy?
Yeah, should be.
Yeah, here we go. So this is what it looked like. I mean, he really crammed that guy in there.
Damn.
See its spine and everything. That's great.
Another egg with it. What's on the right?
I don't know.
That's just my fuzzy tingle times. Ignore that.
It's the 12:30 time.
Do you know the gator made it?
I think he was alive.
They better.
Gators chill, dude.
Albino.
They're just chilling.
How did he know it was albino?
No, I'm just saying it's cool that it's albino. Like,
Oh,
let's
so
see
it
the
was
actual
dead.
thing.
It was a dead albino.
What up?
Oh, no.
Looks like this guy was wrapped in cellophane.
Well,
Dang.
his
Oh.
snout is out of
Well,
the
then why
bag.
can't you transport that?
It's bad
Oh,
for
it's not.
business.
It's not his.
It looks like the snout is out of the.
Oh, yeah, it was alive. The reptile's health was in poor condition at the time, but the alligator is in better shape now after receiving
thank
care
God.
from animal keepers.
Man, that's
Damn.
sad. People are nuts.
I wonder how
I
much
think
that
they were
thing was
extinct.
worth on the black market. There's no way you
Yeah.
do that unless you plan on making some bank.
Yep. or
Yeah, I
fins.
thought these were extinct. There's one we had at the zoo, I guess close to me, like 3 hours away. It's at Omaha Zoo.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then once it died, I think they ended up stuffing it or something because I thought that was it.
Well,
So
albinos are a
there.
mutation. It's not a species, but
Yeah.
Oh,
But
well.
they're very rare, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this caption says. They're extremely rare and have translucent white skin. According to the Audubon Nature Institute, an American reportedly had a live albino alligator. It's not this particular one, but it was packed in a suitcase at the Munich airport in Germany. That's your WTF news of the
it's
day.
the Tiger King.
Yeah,
I try to bring it back to the zoo where I'm at. He's like, I got this.
right.
Hey man.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I don't even know what to say. Like, it had to have been money motivated, right? Because I mean, nobody else in their right mind would have
Right.
put that.
I guess I'm weird. If I see that in real life, I'm catching it too. I don't know if I'm gonna wrap it in plastic, but maybe just use it to sit still while it's in a suitcase.
Yeah. Maybe we're not in a bear market. We're in a gator market. We didn't even know.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, as Asia's known for that exotic type of black market. So
That's why I was like, this doesn't surprise me that it's going to Singapore.
right.
Right.
It's one of those portals where you don't know where to go after that location.
Yeah. I always always reminds me of you remember that line in Pirates of the Caribbean? Jack Sparrow's always like, clearly you've never been to Singapore.
Yeah.
And it's like that always like rings in my head when I hear about shit like that. It's like, God.
That's great.
It's true though.
Yeah. All right. So moving on. So we have a couple of really interesting topics today, and one of them has to do with the tech talent migrating to Web3, a huge layoff that we're seeing. I mean, we've heard reports from Coinbase and many others too that are closely tied to Web3 that are laying off a ton of tech talent. And Brandon brought this to the table this morning, and I wanted you to kind of just elaborate a little bit on this, if you don't mind, Brandon.
Yeah, no, happy to. So, we are seeing companies really start to look at their financials for Q4 this year and go, okay, well, we're planning for Q1. What does the budget for next year look like? And a lot of companies don't have the projections they were hoping to have. So what we're seeing is just tons and tons of developers and IT staff and all the supporting infrastructure. A lot of companies are having to just cut people who are hired to help them grow and just get to where they can survive, just treading water. And so, this is impacting a lot of people who I'm close with. Just being an IT guy, we know a lot of other IT guys, and it looks like the transportation sector, like Uber and those types of businesses, are actually hit really hard, which makes sense. If we're going into a bear market, people are being more financially conservative. So any product that is seen as a luxury is probably not going to be doubled down on, because the expectation is people won't have expendable income to be able to throw at that. So really, really interesting, direction. So the big question people probably want to know, like, what the hell can they do about it? Well, a lot of big investors are throwing their money into actually growing Web3 companies here in this bear market, because they want to make sure that they have some product to show once we're out of the bear market, right? So that whole sector is expected to be growing substantially. And so I've always said this, that when you're in a bear market, you should be investing in yourself and your skills primarily. Like, you really should be looking to how you can provide as much value as possible, because if you can polish your skills and actually be a builder, actually constantly be able to take an idea and bring it into reality, there's a lot of people with big pockets looking to throw their money at people who can actually build and execute. So that's really the big idea here, is that we need to look at companies that are going to be providing evergreen value, not just, hey, people have expendable income, right? And Web3 really is a transformational technology where people are going to now be the servers. We're not relying on some centralized server to host a service. We're truly changing the entire footprint of how computing is distributed. So, questions?
Yeah, I think that's one of the key elements. The shifts in the paradigm is it's no longer centralized, where you, the human, are the product, or you, the subscriber, are the product, getting it for free. Now, each individual will be able to own their own information and want to sell if they want to sell it. So it changes the paradigm on how it works. And we're already seeing that with Web3 in these, where they're shifting away from that previous structure. So in terms of Web3, what applications do you see that are different than the previous, what we know traditionally? Brandon?
Yeah, I think people are actually finally executing on smart contract programming. That's one thing, because now that ETH has kind of demonstrated it can go proof of stake and the fees aren't so huge, there's a lot of big businesses in the Ethereum Alliance, like Microsoft, for example, who are creating direct integrations with their tooling to help businesses use the Ethereum platform as part of their infrastructure. So I think smart contract programming, obviously front end programming, getting into some of these blockchain specific programming languages like Rust and WebAssembly and Solidity. Those are things that are continuing to grow in demand, and you'd be wise if you're interested in building in that way, to actually polish your skills and learn those languages. But I think it's important for people to also play to their strengths. Some people just aren't wired to be programmers, and there's really 3 different skills. I'll end with this. There's 3 different skills in business that are always in demand. You're either a builder, someone who can take an idea and bring it into fruition. You're a leader. You know how to organize people and give them vision and direction and say, do more of this and less of this at the right times. That's undervalued. And then, we also have it's building, leading, and sales. Yeah. If you don't know how to sell, then obviously you can have great leadership and a great product, but no one knows your product exists. And so I recommend everybody learn one of those skills, if not all of them, in due time. Like every business, no matter what sector, no matter what time period, those are the 3 things that make a business, right? Building, leading, and selling. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about this too. It's, and maybe this falls into the building category, but we as a group are also working to, funny enough, I'm using this term, build a social media platform. So that's I think it just applied to me personally. I also was looking at just Web3 and how seriously some people are taking this and how other people are looking at it as a joke, right? Like, I mean, we saw Meta Platforms who had their earnings last week and they absolutely shit the bed. But a lot of it was because of their strong investment into Web3, and a lot of the investors don't get it. And you can feel however you want about Mark Zuckerberg and some of the things that he's done, what have you. But the fact of the matter is that with him going all in on the metaverse and Web3, he's going to absolutely crush it. And Meta Platforms is going to do extremely well. We look back at this, and even I would say probably 2027, 2026. I think that Facebook, aka Meta Platforms, is going to be a much different company, and they're going to be one of the major players in Web3. And a lot of people are going to, look at Mark Zuckerberg as a potential visionary as a result.
I'm with you.
Or he'll shit the bed.
I mean,
majestically,
maybe, but I mean, I just don't think that you put that kind of money into that platform and not do something with it. I'll be shocked.
I would be shocked too, but I also know guys who are super try hard and still can't woo a woman, so it's fine.
I mean, he's got a wife and kids, so.
Yeah. No, I know, but more so meaning like if you're seen as like a boomer platform.
Oh yeah,
Zoomers are gonna be like, dude, I'm not touching that. Screw that.
Yeah.
I don't care how you sell it with Oculus or whatever. Like,
nah, it'll be cool later. Kids will be like, nah, like it'll be a fad.
Bro, I buy weed there. Like, that's how they get the kids.
That gateway crap.
And maybe they branch out Facebook as a subdivision and then focus the entire company into the metaverse.
Yeah,
like Facebook becomes its own little boomer niche.
Almost like they should change their name to Meta or something and not Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. What if I'm offended because I'm vegetarian and it looks too much like meat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So clarity, I guess he has to have clarity. He has clarity and direction, but he has not defined clarity of the.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Microsoft?
What do you mean?
Sounds like a bad stand-up joke.
With Meta. They're working with Meta now.
Oh, you have to. I was going to say you have to elaborate on that.
Yeah,
I know what you were talking about.
I hadn't seen an announcement.
Yeah, I'm just looking into it too because I thought Microsoft wanted to build their own metaverse, but now it looks like they're building it with Meta.
Oh, with Xbox becoming a full-blown metaverse, I'd put my money on that. In fact, that as Xbox becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger platform, that's why Microsoft scooped up all these, really really big, game development companies. They can bring it all under hood and actually consolidate development and use refactored code, that type of thing. But I would say that if from what we can see currently, Microsoft is probably the one to properly execute on a metaverse.
Well, that's cool because they're working together now. But
So happy together.
yeah,
So that would show consolidation in the industry, meaning now these two behemoths are coming together to ensure the success of this direction.
Yeah.
Of where they're headed.
I'm not sleeping on Roblox though either. To what Brandon was speaking to about boomers and what have you. If you're looking at Gen Zers, Roblox is the platform right now, and that really kind of has created, I believe, probably the most adoption, at least for that generation, in Web3 and the metaverse. And so I think that that's going to be something to certainly continue to keep an eye on. I'm not sleeping on them either, even though they're a much smaller company. The way that they've been able to capture that generation right now, I think is probably a bigger deal than some might realize.
I believe they're called Zoomers. That's the preferred active word for
I'm
Gen
getting
Z.
lost with these things. I don't know.
I know.
Because they're always zooming around, you know?
Yeah.
I guess
They
all have ADD.
Yeah.
I think the absolute biggest
Relatable.
thing from the metaverse just happened with those new Oculus setups.
Yeah, I do too.
Because it's always been like just regular, and then you got to wear this for full virtual reality. Now they got the augmented. Like, just think how minimalist you could be. Like, your room could literally just be nothing, one screen. But then when you put those on, you have 12 screens, and you're Ross, the super day trader. But you don't have to run 9 million wires or worry about one computer blue screening. Like, you're good to go because it's all on one thing. And I think that is what's going to get everybody involved. And then we'll transition to the full blown, we can do it everything. But to have those on, still see your house, still see everything else, you're still functioning. I think that's what's going to be the best, what do you say, foot in the door, like the best.
AR has the lowest barrier to entry.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, is exactly that barrier from digital to analog, and that augmented reality is a beautiful segue into that world where they're like actually seeing the data in front of their eyes. So guys, please join us in Discord. We have the link up here, or bit.ly/meta community. Join us there, join the conversation. This is going to be a very interesting, and let us know if you're a betting person, where you're placing your bets in there in Discord. See you in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because they have earnings this week.
Who does?
DraftKings.
Oh yeah. Their earnings will be on Friday. But moving on, I wanted to change direction here over to Tampa. Tampa, you had brought interesting news to us this morning about Bank of America and how a study finds that younger investors are turning into alternatives and digital assets.
Right. And I mean, this ties, I think, into a little bit about what Don was saying about overall adoption, and how Mr. Wonderful is talking about it. We're seeing Visa, MasterCard, every credit card company is filing patents in regard to blockchain and cryptocurrency. The world's largest banks, we have BNY Mellon now, also custody of cryptocurrencies. And this is just another straw in the hat, so to speak, of the amount of money that is being invested in the future of cryptocurrency and how it relates to this boomer, or excuse me, the Zoomer and the Gen Z generation that's coming up with it, right? So in this article right here, it ends up being just kind of a call to action from Bank of America saying that, hey, you still need a financial advisor toward the end. Like, there's all this stuff coming that you don't know about, so you still need a financial advisor is basically what they're selling. But some of the stats that they have released inside of this article, I found very, very intriguing. So there's one that I can pull up.
I got it.
Yeah.
We're pulling.
So there's one that I highlighted talking about how $84 trillion with a T, $84 trillion is expected to pass primarily from the baby boomer generations to Gen X, millennials, Zoomers, all the way through the year of 2045. That is a massive stat. So with that in mind, the other part of this article that I highlighted is knowing that $84 trillion is expected to come through. Nearly half of that, and Bank of America quotes 47%, nearly half of that population has cryptocurrency holdings. Okay. That stat is massive. A, because I don't believe that it's only 47%. I actually think that there is a consideration for the nuance of the holders who have chosen to withhold their ownership of cryptocurrency for whatever reason. I think that 47% number is a lot higher. But if even 10% of that money came into cryptocurrency, you're looking at incredible growth across the entire space. You're now understanding these stats alone. You can better understand now why all these credit card companies, why all these banks, why all these big nation states are getting into cryptocurrency. Because if even 10% of that came into cryptocurrency once regulated or whenever, you're looking at a 4 to 10 times growth of our current market cap. That is just massive stat right there. Massive.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we will continue to preach here. Cryptocurrency is inevitable. And if you are looking to start somewhere, start with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not going anywhere. You can talk about a lot of the other altcoins, ETH included, and they're still going to be secondary to the king as far as the ability to grow a taproot and always be relevant.
Right.
There, one day somebody might, overtake Bitcoin. That's fine. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is the forever king, but it will forever be relevant and it will always have the deepest taproot out of any cryptocurrency. So if you are looking to play in this game that BNY Mellon, that Fidelity, that Visa, that Bank of America, that MasterCard, that all them are into, all you have to do right now is buy Bitcoin. And you don't even have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Understand, you can buy just $5 worth of a Bitcoin. You can fractionalize this. And you can buy Bitcoin and you can DCA it or dollar cost average it into a wallet and buy yourself $10 a week, $50 a month, whatever it is, you can get a part of this inevitability that's coming, because this generation coming up, they might not want to spend money on a house, or because they might believe that climate change is going to kill everybody in 30 years. So why even bother? They might have all these weird ass ideas that I'm not even going to get into. But one thing that they do believe in is cryptocurrency and a new financial legacy. They do not believe in the traditional financial legacy of our parents and even a lot of people in this chat right now. They do not believe in the stock market the same way we do. They certainly don't believe in Social Security. They don't believe in banks in general, privacy issues. They are moving to cryptocurrency. So even if you never get it because you're an older generation, understand it's coming one way or another. So it is your job to figure this out to a degree, if for no other reason than for your children or for your legacy.
Right. Even if we colonize other planets or space stations, cryptocurrency will still be used in those contexts.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of older people that never thought that email or the internet would be a thing, that it was just a passing fad. Why do we need the internet or email when we have fax machines? Why do we need all this stuff, right? Understand that you are in the exact same situation when it comes to cryptocurrency. There will be all kinds of videos shown 20 years down the road of people talking about how crypto is a Ponzi or a scam, and they're going to look like idiots. It's not going to age well. And it's not going to age well for all the reasons that Don just said. Like there is so much money in cryptocurrency. It now cannot go anywhere. It can't. So it will only enhance, especially as we move more towards just even further a digital lifestyle. It's inevitable that our money will succumb to technological advancement, and that advancement is cryptocurrency. And stats like these, when I see them, I'm like, man, that's really incredible with what's coming with our younger generation moving forward.
Well said. Yeah. That and even too, we've been talking since 2016 about how once the institutional investments start coming into the space, you're going to see other people start to take action and throw their money into the space, because fear of missing out really starts to kick in. So like these numbers you're showing here, Tam, clearly show that there's going to be some events that happen, and we don't know when they happen, but if you DCA, you're in place to be able to take advantage of those big movements when they happen.
Yep. So
Absolutely.
So DCA every Friday.
All the way.
Yeah.
It was DCA
5 to
Fridays
6.
back in the day. Let's keep it going, guys.
That's right. I just wanted to grab one thing that you had said, Tamp, out of this, and how the younger generation looks at the stock market entirely differently than an older generation, which I don't disagree with. Right? I mean, we're seeing a lot more younger people become more risk tolerant, and they'll go crazy on some super speculative shit. But I think also it's important to understand that the stock market, at least in my opinion, isn't going anywhere. I think that we would view cryptocurrencies and the investment in them as the same as investing in something like the dollar, right? You can invest in the dollar and the dollar does extremely well. Right now it's doing extremely well, but like you can invest in other currencies and it's almost kind of like the same. I don't want to say the same, but the concept, at least in my view, seems to be the same as a Forex investment. Whereas you could use cryptocurrency, and I see a world at some point where you're going to be buying stocks with some sort of form of crypto, whether it's Ethereum or what have you. And I think that that's probably what we evolve into. So I don't think stocks are going anywhere. I just think how we buy them will certainly change in the future.
I think that
Agreed.
technology is going to penetrate how we represent the asset. So they may tokenize, but still the same principles, the same engines, the same economics that are involved in that will apply into it. So it's more of applying blockchain into that industry.
Yeah.
Is where I believe, and like Forex, Bitcoin, I could see it as a currency, although they treat it as an asset. The IRS does currently, and the utility tokens, they're trying to define the SEC and others on what that really means or is. Although quite a few are quitting. I think it's going to take a little longer, or they'll just pull the trigger like, fuck it.
Yep.
This is what it is. Let's move forward and stop.
Agreed. And if some of the more traditional stocks of today, if they do not adapt with this younger generation and all the trillions of dollars they are bringing into the market, you could see some of those then start to lose their stronghold. Because I mean, let's think about it. Why invest in say Redbox, when we all knew Netflix was coming down the pipe? Right. Yeah. Unless they're going to pivot with us or any of these gaming companies, why invest in those as a younger person, these stronghold companies, when I don't see them pivoting with me, and so if you have the likes of a Warren Buffett or even a Bill Gates saying that crypto doesn't have a place and it's stupid, well, get ready, because when you step down off your throne, you might have doomed everything that you've built up. You might have doomed your legacy unless you get somebody in there that convinces you, listen, you don't have to like it, but the younger generation does. And when you're long gone, no one cares. Like, no one's going to remember you, right? They'll remember what's right in front of their face. So either pivot and go with the flow or just honestly just die. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You're just going to die out.
It literally, the wealth transfer. Bottom line is going to occur at that.
Yeah. And again, I'm not saying you have to like it. You don't have to like it. But if you want to make some money and figure out what's the next big thing, if you dismiss crypto, I think you're doing yourself a massive disservice.
I mean, do you really think that Warren Buffett believes that, though? I don't think he does. I think it's a Jamie Dimon scenario where they're like, yeah, Bitcoin's a scam, buys more Bitcoin. Like, it's exactly that situation. It's like, yeah, you should sell all of it. It's trash, like.
Yeah. And issues patents, his company on blockchain is like, come on, be honest with your people.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like negotiating at a garage sale. Like, I don't know, this looks really shitty. You probably should throw it away. I'll be nice. I guess I'll give you $5. It reminds me exactly of that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. This is a great conversation, guys. If you haven't checked us out yet, make sure that you do over at DCTV's Discord. We go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. So make sure you're also subscribing and hitting that notification bell. We certainly would appreciate it there as well. We have another article that I think is worth discussing here as well. And not really an article per se, but you mentioned it at the top of the show. We're talking about right now the white paper anniversary of Bitcoin.
This is extremely significant, guys. This is if you think about where the world was when this white paper was printed, you could almost say the timing was beautiful. Everything involved with it was perfect. So we already had the financial meltdown, and remember, and no one talks or really talks about it anymore. It's like the too big to fail. So all of the big boys, all the homies were getting saved, but then the small businesses and entire countries were going into bankruptcy. Just meltdown, a general meltdown during that time period. And that's when Satoshi Nakamoto, we don't know if it's a single individual or a group or a team, but this white paper was written and published today, 14 years ago. And literally the principle of it was peer-to-peer cash transfers, meaning we don't need a bank. Why? Because clearly from what was happening in the global economy, they were saving their homies, the other banks, but screw the unbanked, screw everyone else in terms of how do we save everybody in this. So this document, which is at bitcoin.org, and it's multiple languages, tons of languages. And if your language isn't there, please get in there, contribute, and let everyone in your language understand what the purpose of this was and why it's changed so much. I mean, it's made billionaires thus far in just 14 years, multiple. So this is the time to pay attention, because this is the next industrial revolution, not industrial, but the next revolution that's already happening. And most people, boomers, others, do not realize this. Jamie Dimon, no matter what he says, guys, he is that garage sale guy that's trying to get it in cheap with his homies.
Garage sale diamond. and just for everyone who might be younger or might be missing the context, in 2008, there were basically some really big companies that were going bankrupt because they were just stretched too far, and the government stepped in and said, no, they're too big to fail, and basically spotted them the money even though they should have failed. And so there's no accountability is the problem. And so functionally what this did is it inflated the US dollar. It made all of the lay people pay for the sins of these bigger companies that were just stretching themselves too thin, just so that we didn't have enormous financial collapse. And in 2008, that's what we went through. Gas prices were the highest we've seen them until recently. And so what most people believe is that whole event didn't actually get resolved. It got punted into the future, and it looks like we might now be having to eat that breakfast all soggy. And so the question is, like, did it compound its outcome? What is this whole event going to look like, and how are we going to talk about this once it's over? I mean, I'm sure the rest of the DCTV team could probably speak to that in deeper lengths.
Absolutely. And this is the realization we have to come to. The banks are not here to take care of you necessarily. The banks are here to make a profit off of you. And the fact that the governments actually support that by bailing them out and let everyone else try to resolve it. And guess what? When they're printing money, they're actually who's paying for this? It's all of us.
Right.
It's every single citizen in this country. And then the other countries that are too scared with their own fiat start throwing their fiat, converting it to the US dollar. So it strengthens the dollar, but it's more of a Ponzi scheme where it's all coming together, where it's going to topple over at some point.
Yeah. It's an invisible tax.
It really is. And now is the time we're beginning to pay for it. So this Bitcoin white paper was an answer to that. It's like, hey, I know this. I busted my ass to get this. I made this. I can't if I put the value of this, I sell it and put it into the bank, there's no guarantee you're going to get what you earned back. They'll start questioning you. What is this for? Why are you taking out so much? Where, you don't want to say? Let me write it down for the government to figure out what you're going to do. There's
no private keys.
Yes.
Well,
Not your cheese.
Nobody bats an eye when you put that much into the bank.
Yeah, that's true.
They start questioning actually.
When you're putting it into the bank now?
Yeah.
Well, they ask you where it came from. They do want to see your receipt. Yeah. Make sure you're not money laundering.
I do tell them drug dealing.
Correct. So there is this is not yours. That money in the bank is no longer yours. Bitcoin is the answer to that. So now if I converted this, I sold it for Bitcoin. Now I own it. It's extremely volatile at the moment and not as much as it used to be, but that value is mine. No one can take it from me unless I tell them my seed phrase, and I can transfer it to TAMP in a deal I want to make and transfer it directly to her. There is no middle person asking you why, where did this come from, how did this come up? No. And it's not laundering because it's all on the blockchain. It's all auditable. But there is no fat middleman earning their share out of Tamps and my work. That's the revolution of Bitcoin. And that's what we have to understand about Bitcoin. And think of it rat poison like Warren Buffett does. But remember, he didn't want to get into technology stocks or anything technology because he didn't understand it. And I admire that because it's someone who knows his limitations and invests based on what he understands. So in this case, a lot of people, once they start seeing Bitcoin, they're like, Warren Buffett says it's a scam, but why are all these guys jumping in? I mean, so heavily and even risking so much. And once you understand what this was, the purpose of it, which is a protocol for transfer of money, then you realize, oh, this, what I put in here, they cannot take it from me unless I give them the keys.
Right.
Or better yet, Warren Buffett does understand it. He's just so heavily invested into banks. He understands that Bitcoin is a direct threat to that.
And even Warren Buffett was pressured.
Because that's the thing. If you truly just don't understand it, so you're staying an arm length away, why not just say that? If you really don't understand it, you don't have to call it rat poison because you don't understand it well enough to know it is something that can kill you. You can just say, I don't deal with that. It's not my thing yet. Until I understand it, I don't mess with it.
FUD.
But if you call it rat poison or you Jamie Dimon and call it a Ponzi that you'll never touch, and then all of a sudden you're eating it up, maybe you very much do understand Bitcoin and how much it can upend all the swamp of the banks. And so you have to say something to keep people from absolutely going that direction.
Now, I actually, so as we were talking, and this topic comes up quite a bit, obviously, and that is the money laundering aspect. Because there is no, I guess, check, and maybe this is more because this caters more to the regulatory argument, but there still is that capability of, if I want to launder money, I can do it easier through cryptocurrency or through Bitcoin. Is there truth in that, or is there not? Because that is
easier.
Cash,
art is easier. Cash art
is easier. Yes, art also.
So you could do it through NFTs right now. You could do it.
Yes.
Yeah. The whole argument that crypto is used for that is security by obscurity, but it's truly there, and there's a lot of people. I'm sure Rug Pull Finder could even speak to this if they're on at some point. But there's a fact that everything you do is pseudo anonymous. It's not anonymous, and so it's like you can see this wallet sent this money to this other wallet, and we don't necessarily know that wallet belonged to this person, and this other wallet belonged to Jamie Dimon. What we do know is that wallet sent that wallet that money. But you have some organizations like, Coinbase, for example, doing Know Your Customer. And in those cases, we do know that those wallets belong to that person if we can triangulate that, point of identity. So it's not anonymous. Like if regulatory agencies are trying to dig into things, if any wallet has history, they can probably deduce who's who. But that's why we have the ability to create as many wallets as we want if we need to, right? So it's if you were to compare this to cash, though, if you were to give cash to somebody that you got from an illegal situation, there's no paper trail there whatsoever, none at all.
None.
And so anyone who brings this argument but is still pro cash is clearly not actually against money laundering. What they're against is something they don't understand.
Correct.
I love that.
And there's a global ledger, universal, that can't be changed. So the transaction that happened. You can't say it didn't.
And who's even using crypto for laundering? Like, no one the government's worried about is using that, because they are using art. It's a lot easier. You can manipulate that a million times better. Like, I don't know where this argument even came from, because it kind of just sounds stupid to begin with. Like, it's got to be some small guy. Like, no one, like the guy that sells pot on the corner, like, thinks he's a big drug dealer. Like, maybe
I know an artist named Hunter who's really, really good at selling art. So maybe he knows some people.
Yeah, I think the argument actually came from what we were just speaking to was that, not being able to, I guess, check in on certain large transactions that are moving from one place to another. And so that instantly got them to ask the question, and they didn't dig any further than that. They just asked the question of like, well, who's checking this person when they sell, 300 grand worth of Bitcoin, and nobody checks in on as to why that's happening.
Correct.
Say good.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's companies out there like Chainalysis that are hired by the IRS and other audit organizations to trace where all this has been and where it's going. So where are the points where you can actually backtrace is the moment they convert to fiat cash. From that point forward, they can work backwards and see, okay, it went from this wallet to this wallet, and infer the history of that value of where it's been. So it's just working through that aspect, but it is traceable, and every single transaction is on the blockchain since inception. So there is no laundering, because it's impossible to launder when your transactions on the ledger globally on all computers.
Everybody knows your paper trail.
Yes.
Yeah, and if they caught that wallet, you'd have to ban that wallet. Like, you'd have to just drop it, ditch it, like you never knew. Because once they're on you, they're just, if by some miracle they couldn't trace it back to you, which, man, I'm sure there's a few loopholes out there. Like they started, bounced it around, but like, hey, we think this is you, and you say no. Like, you don't think they're just watching that wallet, that money?
Of course they are, Don. Exactly what you said. That's why the government stepped in and arrested the founder of Tornado Cash, because that's what Tornado Cash did. If you flagged a wallet for whatever reason, legit or not, you could put those funds into Tornado Cash, scramble it, and get it out in a way that is not impossible but difficult to trace. And the government stepped in and arrested the guy who wrote the code. Like, he did something wrong. All he did was write the damn code. He can't help it if somebody takes that code and uses it maliciously. He just wrote it.
And so many people are like, oh, he was doing something illegal, but no, he was protecting privacy. One of the side effects is people doing illegal things can mask their transactions. But how about legitimate people who believe got hacked? I know a lot of people that use Tornado Cash to be able to move it to a private wallet, or a wallet where it is not clear that I got this guy, I got him hacked. Now he moved it to this other location. Tornado Cash obfuscated that enough to where it is now safer for the person who is declaring his taxes, is paying their taxes, is doing everything as they should be doing it.
Sure.
I don't think you should be arrested, but I actually agree with that being stopped. I think eventually that'll come out as a service later. Hey, if you think you got hacked, here's your identity, security. We'll transfer to a new wallet once you get hacked. But crypto is private enough that if the government does want to step in, they can still track it down. So maybe that does come. Maybe that is important later. I don't know, trafficking, stuff like that. If they need to find it, they can, but the average person's not doing it.
Yeah.
Because look at hacks today. They actually get your social security, get your and that'll be the last comment. Sorry. I just realized what I just did, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just,
Good.
I'm so
Keep going.
passionate
Keep
about
going.
it.
No. Keep going.
I'm so passionate about it.
Hot take.
Yeah. Because guys, Equifax and all these our private stuff is out there. It's out there. Our social security, all our stuff is out in public.
All for sale.
So, all for sale. In the crypto world, as long as I can secure my wallet, if I think it was compromised and I can transfer it to another one where I know I'm the only soul that knows this, my store, my value is still with me. But now at this moment, my bank and everything else, how are they going to guarantee that when hackers finally activate, we go into World War III with other country hackers taking our value and taking it elsewhere? How are we going to protect ourselves from it?
There's a big constitutional question here too. Like if all people have a right to life, liberty, and property, there's a lot of questions for like, okay, do you have the right to do with your money what you want to do with your money? That's a good question, right? If it's your property and the Constitution protects that right, then I think we have a lot of laws and systems that should probably be reviewed under those conditions. Like, do these laws protect your right to life, liberty, and property? And we probably have a lot of laws that don't even support constitutional direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And blockchain, like Bitcoin specifically, does support that. It says, no, you have a right to your liberty and your property. This is yours, and no one gets to spoof this. There's no like you can have distributed systems that are also still centralized in power. Like functionally, Ethereum could do that, right? And so it's not to say that it's a bad system. It is to say it's not a truly decentralized system. It's a distributed system.
Yeah.
Those are different things. Bitcoin, there's no God mode in Bitcoin. There's miners validating transactions, and there's 21 million Bitcoin, and you have to work within that code. It would require enormous amounts of quantum computing to break one specific link in the blockchain, and that's very expensive.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to continue this conversation, Brandon, where can they find you?
Yeah, at the Real Data Lord on Twitter, and I'm always in that DC TV Discord.
There we go. You can check out the Discord.
I said both.
You can check out the Discord link in the description, as well as pinned into this chat too. And just wanted to real quick get to our final topic here today, and that is the one that Don brought to the table as well. And we had talked about this about 2 weeks ago, I think, about PayPal fining people for misinformation, and it kind of created a huge, passionate topic surrounding around that. But Don is kind of taking the opposite. I don't want to say opposite, but kind of like the other side of this argument right now because of what PayPal has changed about this policy. Is that right, Don?
Well, turns out it might be a dud because so they removed it and they brought it back. Everybody got all up in arms about it. But when they brought it back, I thought it was just for business accounts. Turns out it actually is very much still so personal. So I was going to say, like, I can understand you wanting to shut other businesses up, because right now with the cancel culture, just bringing it all back to you, like, hey, if you're working with us, you need to chill out on the sharing the opinionated stuff. But yeah, it is still very much for businesses and personal. So anything you do, if you do transact with them, it looks like that. Still no clarity as far as what counts as misinformation.
That's the point. Unless they have this giant room full of the world's smartest people in every topic, who the hell are you to tell me it's misinformation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what then? No, it's not that. It's just if it's blatant misinformation. What the hell is blatant? Where can you draw a line in the sand with the word blatant?
Yeah.
It's so vague.
Yeah. And that's the issue with it.
I got excited though. I got excited when I thought it was just for businesses. I was like, I can get this. This I can get. Like, keep your political opinions out of it. Let's just transact it in a business world. Because cancel culture, if they go after one, then they find out they're working with them. It's like, hey, you better drop this person. So like maybe they just want to stay out of the noise. But then no. And then they do own Venmo. So if you think you just deleted PayPal and that's that, Venmo's right there with them. So
yeah.
But
does this apply to Venmo? Did this article mention Venmo at all?
I have to look into that. No, it didn't at the time. I just know that they own it, and so I guess we have to read their terms of agreement and see what's in there.
I'll wait for that email that says your terms of agreement have been updated on Venmo.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
these are the restricted activities you can see here as well. It says in connection with use of our website, your PayPal account, the PayPal services, or in other course of your interactions with PayPal, other PayPal customers, or third parties, you must not breach user agreement, violate any law, statute, ordinance, yada yada yada. This is all like I'd mentioned earlier. Just it's all very vague.
Like it even just says provide false, inaccurate, or misleading information.
Yes.
Like, what if I'm just wrong?
Right.
Honestly, wrong.
Sorry, I'm human.
The Earth is round would have fallen into that is the problem. At some point in time, it was extremely misinformation to say that the Earth is round, and so like it's that idea of like certain ideas are wrong, think and are off the table for discussion, for civil discussion in a civil society. That's not right.
I did.
Why 2,500?
It's a good number.
Why?
Yeah, but
I mean,
magic number. You wouldn't understand.
But
Yeah, and so if you take $2,500 out of my account, which you cannot because I deleted PayPal and everything that had to do with it, and I'll do it with Venmo too. But if you did that and said, "Hey, Tamp, you said the Earth is round and you're wrong. We're taking 25 out of your account." Now what? Do I have to like present an article? Do I get to arbitrage this?
No rights.
Do we go to
No soup for you.
Yeah.
You-
Do I now have to bring a couple articles like, well, this is what I based it on, so it's really not my opinion. I was sharing the opinion of so and so. So maybe you should find them instead and give me my money back because this isn't even my opinion. I was just parroting this person.
You
It's a
can't
song
argue.
and dance.
Yeah.
You can't argue it. There's the
No,
key.
no, you
can't
can.
argue it. Oh,
No,
you can
You
argue.
have like they're gonna find you, and you have to argue it. It's not like where's your argument now. It's like they're gonna find you, and then you can argue it to get it back.
So you're guilty before proven innocent.
It's
Yeah.
meant to hassle you, is what it is.
yeah.
It's meant to
And-
hassle you so that you do the easier thing and play the game.
And how much is
But-
going to take you to recover your 2,500? Might as
Yeah.
well just write it off.
You might as well just delete PayPal.
Yeah.
Get ahead of the curve.
Right. I mean, us as influencers as well. It's like, you know, we're in the media space every single day of our life, and I say a lot of stuff that I'm not always right about. And so that's scary to me.
I did tweet them though. I asked them, no response yet. If they think the Earth is a ball or a frisbee, so still waiting on that. That way we can share the right one.
You better watch your account, Don.
Well, I wanted to make sure, like, hey, I don't want to say like I may or may not have a video on YouTube talking about how I think it's round.
Not scientific advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But since that was a dud, there's some other things I did want to look into. Like I said, talking or listening to Kevin O'Leary, he brought up NFTs again, and it was the watch industry. I'm not a big watch person, but I know a lot of people are.
He's a huge watch guy.
Yeah,
So short
and
and
so like my wife's wedding ring, like, so you can track it because there's imperfections in the diamond,
Yes.
and that's how you got to look at it. And then every time you go take it to get clean, that's how it's tracked. But he's saying that's going to be a huge industry for the watches as well, because there's so many fake Rolexes. There's so many just fake. So anything that's real that has a counterfeit can now have an NFT with it. Like, hey, this particular one, here's the title to it. Here's these imperfections. You can track it. Now it's not just a digital thing, but the utility is actually connected to that specific one. So when you sell that watch, here comes the title with the NFT, which I thought was, I don't want to say huge,
great use
but
case.
yeah, like it's just not that I wasn't 100% sold on NFTs. I'm just curious, like, you know, when do they actually take off? Because everyone knows, like, it's a picture of a monkey. You know, like, when does it take into something else? And
It's amazing,
So
Don. Think
done.
about it. The same thing applies from seed to shelf. If you want only an organic piece of food, right? Or if you want coffee that absolutely comes from, say, Colombia, whatever it is, from seed to shelf, NFTs apply to make sure that you are purchasing what is in fact on the label and not a counterfeit or somebody who paid for a label that didn't really go through with that. It applies to literally anything. You know, any sort of product that you have in your home, be it hair products, cleaning products, detergents, you know, and in your case, like you said, watches, bags, every piece of apparel. How do I know for sure that this is in fact genuine? And NFTs solve that problem.
yeah,
Yeah.
like McDonald's 100%.
I'm saying it first.
Exactly.
So we are working on a business that provides that concept, Don, and you know about this as well. But I cannot wait to actually show the world what we're up to. I hope that it actually gets off the ground. I think that it will. I think the concept's there, but I'm super pumped for it. And Jaime's like witnessed me like go crazy over the weekend too, just kind of like going nuts on this. But stay tuned to DCTV as well as at Own the Chaos. If you guys want to go check me out on Twitter, you can kind of see what I'm up to, but this directly correlates to that concept of not being able to counterfeit things and giving it its own authenticity, as Indo Crypto pointed out. So I'm super pumped about that. I know that Jaime has to go ahead. I don't want to steal it. Okay, all right. So I'm super passionate about this. It is about a passion of mine, which is really cool. So Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for today's show. If you wouldn't mind checking us out at on Discord, our DC TV Discord is in the chat. It's pinned right to the top there. It's absolutely free to be a part of. You can continue the conversation with us there. And guys, I know some of you, especially Indo Crypto, was really disappointed that I did not do birthdays on Friday. So birthdays is
Bitcoin's
back.
birthday. It's Bitcoin's birthday.
It's Bitcoin's birthday, but it's also Willow Smith's birthday. She's 21. We also have Vanilla Ice, who's 54 years old.
Jesus
What?
What the
Christ.
fuck?
54.
Vanilla Ice. Here's another shocker. Rob Schneider, 58.
58.
I love that dude.
You can do it.
Would you guys like
That's
some
my people.
cookies?
That's right.
Mi gente.
The late John Candy's birthday is today as well. And then we
Rest in
have
peace.
All right.
we have Serenity, who is 63 years old. She's the star of Best Butt in the Biz, The Vagina Code, Erection Day.
Dude, be confused with the Asian way of saying election day.
Missionary Impossible and Saturday Night Beaver. Guys, those are your birthdays. Thanks so much for tuning in. We certainly appreciate you guys. Hit that like, subscribe on your way out the door, and we'll see you all on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, stay safe out there, guys.
Great.
Vote on Erection
Stay
Day.
calm, huddle on.
That's right.
Make the wise choice on election day, guys.
Make sure you vote on Erection Day.